it used to be. None can compare to the city to our city. Talking about the city. Talking about.
Destination is on the left.
Here's to Port Arthur. Here's to Port Arthur, the city we adore. Here's to Port Arthur. Here's to Port Arthur. No one could love you more. Out of all of the places.
We're all ready for the day.
Go see some convicts.
Go and see some historical buildings.
Hello and welcome to the Port Arthur audio experience. My name is Colin and I've been a guide at Port Arthur for around 30 years, during which time I've never become immune to the beauty nor the story of this fascinating place and where it sits within a bigger picture of an incredible time in human history, and I hope to share some of that with you today. This beautiful island where I live is known by many names. In 1642, just north of here at Denali, the Dutch planted a flag, and for them it became Van Diemen's Land, a name the British would continue to use until 1856, when Van Diemen's Land officially became Tasmania. Its Aboriginal name is Lutruwita. In recognition of the deep history and culture of this place, we would like to acknowledge and pay our respects to the traditional custodians of the land upon which we gather, the Paitarama people. We also acknowledge and pay our respect to all Tasmanian Aboriginal communities, all of whom have survived invasion and dispossession and who continue to maintain their identity and culture. Port Arthur is most famous for being a prison that operated between 1830 and 1877. But the site is far more than just an old prison. Port Arthur is one of 11 sites that makes up the Australian Convict Sites World Heritage listing. Upon arrival, visitors find a vast 100-acre carefully landscaped historic site with over 30 buildings and ruins to explore. And Port Arthur happened to be a particular type of prison, a secondary punishment station. The majority of convicts who were transported would never see places like this, but they would be only too aware of their existence and reputation. This was a prison specifically designed for incarcerating repeat offenders, considered to be the worst convicts in Van Diemen's Land, men who could at best be regarded as incorrigible criminals or at worst incurable criminals. They had already been transported but would then continue to commit further crimes and offences within the colony. We believe Lieutenant Governor Arthur adopted and applied the concept to Port Arthur of being a machine to grind rogues honest. The origin of that concept and intent of a prison comes from the English social reformer Jeremy Bentham. The idea being that while imprisoned, there was an opportunity, an offer of reform. To understand why Lieutenant Governor Arthur would find this a very practical concept, it's important to understand just how remote the penal colony of Van Diemen's Land was, some 13,000 miles from England. The overall desire being transported convicts would serve a portion of their sentence as assigned workers for free settlers or the government. Those lacking practical or basic literacy skills could be taught and eventually integrated as contributing citizens to help build the new colony. It was hoped that with these new skills, convicts would be less likely to resort to their old deviant ways and would contribute to the building of a new society. It was a mutually beneficial scheme. Basically, convicts of Port Arthur had so far not adhered to that particular scheme, but there was still a chance. Even though a convict had fallen to the very bottom of the convict system of Van Diemen's Land, the door to freedom and potentially a better life within the colonies was still slightly ajar, and Port Arthur could help him through that door. The ultimate goal? To turn these men from infamy to industry. This prison was to be a place of impartial justice. If a convict displayed the will to reform, he could earn reward. If he did not display the will to reform, he would earn punishment. Reward was a possibility, punishment was a certainty. So why here? What was it about this location that made it perfect for a secondary punishment station? Port Arthur was essentially about the containment and control of convicts. Its location on the Tasman Peninsula is certainly isolated and remote, similar to other punishment stations such as Norfolk Island and Sarah Island, both natural prisons. However, remote locations often created difficulties with supply and logistics. Port Arthur would experience none of those problems. A ship leaving Hobart early morning would travel 42 nautical miles and under ideal conditions could reach the safety of the excellent sheltered harbour the same day. The harbour was the front gate of the prison and essentially the interface between Port Arthur and the rest of the world. The wharves and jetties for loading and offloading goods and supplies, convicts and other personnel were located directly in front of the Commandant's house. This is one of the safest, deepest harbours in the Southern Hemisphere, and apart from a few fishing boats, that's...
Oh, what'd you find, Tone? I think I might get in there with you. Oh. It's hard enough to put your shoes on. There is a pin. Well, that's interesting. Come around.
Cat of 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Cat of 9 table bar. Don't know what the...
That's
that's for
wedge.
breaking bricks.
Yeah, cracking it open. Rakes.
And this is a cat of 9 tails.
Ooh. They are pretty.
Why only 9?
I don't know.
Sound better than cat of 10 tails?
Well, actually, in the olden days, the Roman ones, at the end of those, they used to have broken bone, so it would rip into the flesh. The keys, pretty cool looking.
Prison keys on loan from the Australian Museum, Melbourne. I got ones like that in my craft room. This is the surgeon tools for
Cutting them off.
bone saw and a finger saw on loan from the Medical Artefacts Tasmania. Convicts who fell ill or were injured were treated in the hospital, which was staffed by a qualified surgeon and convict orderlies.
Do you think they'd be keen to go?
I don't know, they'd
think
get
so.
a bed.
Yeah,
And
maybe. And these are the medicines and stuff, I guess.
This is the dentist stuff. 3 tools. There you go. Only for pulling.
You just removed it.
There's no anaesthetic.
No.
Apothecary set of scales. There's a needle, the old-fashioned needle.
The massive range of rugged hills in the background is now the Tasman National Park, which includes a major section of the Three Capes Walk. In the foreground is Isle of the Dead, the cemetery, and the headland is Point Pua, which was a boys' prison. You'll hear more about these places on your harbour cruise. The back gate of the prison was Eaglehawk Neck. It is the only connection by land with the rest of Tasmania, and you would have crossed it to get here. Eaglehawk Neck is very narrow, therefore easy to control. A military garrison was in place very early, effectively dividing the Tasman Peninsula from the rest of the colony, and by 1832 it was guarded by a line of ferocious dogs. A statue representing one of these animals can be found at Eaglehawk Neck. The whole of the Tasman Peninsula was the actual prison. The area was also rich in resources. The settlement was originally established in September 1830.
Hold me now, oh hold me now, till this hour has gone around, and I'm gone on the rising tide, for to face Van Diemen's Land. It's a bitter pill I swallow here, to be rent from one so deep. We fought for justice and not for gain, but the magistrate sent me away. Hold me now, oh hold me now, till this hour has gone around, and I'm gone on the rising tide, for to face Van Diemen's Land.
Come all you gallant poachers that ramble void of care, that walk out on a moonlight night with your dog and gun and snare. The hare and lofty pheasant you have at your command, never thinking of your last career upon Van Diemen's Land. Poor Jackie Brown from Nina Town, Jack Murphy and poor Joe were three determined poachers, as the country well does know. By the keepers of the land, brave boys, one night they were trepanned, and for 14 years transported unto Van Diemen's Land. On the first day that we landed upon that fatal shore, the planters gathered round us, there might be 20 score. They ranked us off like horses, and they sold us out of hand, and they yoked us to the plough, brave boys, for to plough Van Diemen's Land. There was a girl from Nina Town, Peg Brophy was her name. For 14 years transported was for playing of the game, but our planter bought her freedom, and he wed her out of hand. Now she gives to us good usage upon Van Diemen's Land. Oh, I wish I had £1,000 all laid out in my hand. I'd give it all for liberty, if that I could command, and I'd return to Ireland, and I'd be a happy man, and I'd say goodbye to poaching boys and to Van Diemen's Land.
Well, there's 20 to 1 woman on Van Diemen's land. There's Port on Brown from Nottingham, Jack Williams and poor Joe. They were all daring poachers, as the country well does know. At night they were trepended by the keepers out of hand, for 14 years transported to Van Diemen's land. When we set sail from England, we landed in the bay. We had rotten straw for bedding, we dared not to say nay. Our cots were fenced with wire, we slumber when we can, to drive away the wolves upon Van Diemen's land. Come on, you gallant poachers, give ear unto me song. It is a bit of good advice, although it is not long. Laying by your dog and snare, to you I do speak plain. If you knew the hardships, you'd never poach again. Thursday we landed upon that fatal shore. The planters they came flocking round, 20 score and more. They banked the men like horses and sold them out of hand, then yoked them to the plough all on Van Diemen's land.
It's a nice home up the top. That looks a bit too fancy for common folk. Look from up here, Tone. That looks pretty cool. So these are the cells, is that right?
126 cells, or 120 something, but 26 remaining downstairs. All the top ones have fallen away. Oh, the brickwork.
Where? Oh, yeah.
Interesting, they've used the bricks this way
Yeah.
on the outside.
I guess, I don't know, maybe just to fill in gaps. So this is the actual ones you were saying, yeah?
Looks like it was rendered as well, unless they've done that later.
Sometimes when I'm sleeping, I have a pleasant dream with me dear one. I'm sitting down by some purling stream with my friends, telling stories around me they all stand. But I wake up broken hearted on Van Diemen's land. Come on, you gallant poachers, give ear unto me song. It is a bit of good advice, although it is not long. Lay by your dog and snare, to you I do speak plain. If you knew the hardships, you'd never poach again. God bless our families, likewise that happy shore, that isle of sweet contentment, that we shall see no more. For a plant has bought me freedom, he's married me out of hand. Good usage then I'll give him on Van Diemen's land.
Come all ye gallant poacher lads that ramble void of care, that walk out on a moonlit night with your dog, your gun, your snare. The harmless hare and pheasant you have at your command, not thinking on your last career upon Van Diemen's land. 'Twas poor Jack Brown from Glasgow, Will Guthrie and Monroe. They were three daring poachers the country well did know. The keepers caught them hunting, all with their guns in hand, for 13 years transported unto Van Diemen's land. The very day we landed upon that fatal shore, the settlers they came round us, some 40 score or more. They herded us like cattle and sold us out of hand, and yoked us to the plough, my boys, to plough Van Diemen's land. Although the poor of Scotland do labour and do toil, they're robbed of every blessing and produce of the soil. You're proud imperious landlords if you break their commands. They'll send you on the British hulks to plough Van Diemen's land. Come all ye gallant poacher lads that ramble void of care, that walk out on a moonlit night with your dog, your gun, your snare. The harmless hare and pheasant you have at your command, not thinking on your last career upon Van Diemen's land.
That was a cricket pitch
Yeah,
for the locals, not for the prisoners.
yep. So it shows that there was a much bigger community, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the commander's house is over here.
Early in the morning with the chill still in the air, we sailed from Plymouth Harbour, north westly blowing bare. The rain was tumbling all around in buckets from the sky, and the wind it stole our breath away, sharp as a razored knife. On a voyage to the end of the world on George's prison ship, 200 lost and hungry souls would feel a lashing whip. A gale it howled all through the rigging on that first black night. It's like the devil himself up there singing this lullaby. I'm going down, 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 Van Diemen's Land. I'm going down, hellbound, Van Diemen's Land. 30 days out of sea and the wind it blew too calm. So I marched us round the quarter deck to the beat of a mournful drum. Oh, 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 is me, have mercy on my soul. Whoever thought I'd end up here some godforsaken hole. I'm going down, 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 Van Diemen's Land. I'm going down, hellbound, Van Diemen's Land. Late at night, the ship at sea is rocking like a cradle, drifting with my haunted dreams. The dice is on the table.
Then the wind it starts, it's blowing, conjuring up the waves. And I tell myself when it comes that fortune favors the brave. Southwest Cape and up the Derwent's mouth and on towards Hobart Town the rumors were about. We heard the Chinese whispers of Port Arthur and its wrack. If I get myself out of here, ain't never coming back. I'm going down, down, down Van Diemen's Land.
G'day mate, how are you?
Yeah, all good. Yourself?
Good.
Hey, good on you. It's down the Commandant's house, it's where the boss used to live.
Okay,
You guys are welcome to have a look around if you want.
thank you.
There's no one else in there at the moment.
Alright, we'll go out and have a wander.
Yeah, good on you.
He's got the prime spot, hasn't he?
See you, man. Nice to meet you, eh? Great to meet you. Enjoy the rest of your time in Australia. Yeah. You're making a documentary, mate.
Yeah.
It seems like it.
I can see one of the couple's a photographer, the other. Not
Yeah.
Good. The star of the show. Some women would love that, to have a man with a camera hanging off them the whole time.
Not hanging off
Funny faces. If you guys have any questions, you want to come ask, eh?
Thanks, mate.
A must-see when visiting Port Arthur is the home of the man in charge, the man steering the machine. The Commandant's house evolved from a small four-room cottage built in preparation for the arrival of Captain Charles O'Hara Booth in 1833, to the extensive, rambling building perched on the slope overlooking the harbour. Each Commandant would have their home extended and modified as they saw fit. Today, as a museum house, a number of eras are represented. Of particular note is the neo-Gothic wallpaper in the entrance and the oak graining covering the doors and archways. At the back of the house is the kitchen, where we can almost smell the fresh bread and other delicacies being prepared. Commandants were initially military or ex-military, with civilian administrators in charge during the later years. Booth was the most powerful and most important, with jurisdiction over the entire peninsula, overseeing major development and construction and the peak of population at Port Arthur of close to 2,500 convicts, military, other personnel and families by 1842. The area behind the penitentiary is known as Settlement Hill. During occupation, it was crowded with a mix of wooden and stone buildings. Sadly, most of these were lost in the late 1800s, either pulled down and sold or burned by bushfires. The top of the hill was once dominated by a comprehensive military garrison. Still present today is the guard tower. This provided all-important surveillance of the site, a magazine for the safe storage of gunpowder, and, if necessary, a citadel for defence. Tower Cottage close by was lodgings for non-commissioned officers, and inside is an excellent model of the military area as it was. As part of their tour of Empire, British regiments would often be assigned to the colonies of New South Wales and Van Diemen's Land, where one of their duties could be looking after convicts, a duty they hated, especially in a place like Port Arthur where there were only convicts. At least being stationed in Hobart, there were plenty of pubs, houses of ill repute, gambling and so on. Hobart, believe it or not, was a very wild town. One of the few means of entertainment for a soldier at Port Arthur was hunting escapee convicts. Most escapees would be captured very soon after they had bolted. Some convicts who continued to flee when challenged by the soldiers would suffer dire consequences. For example, Sergeant Murphy shot and wounded escapee Edward Howard, who ran off when challenged. Private Bayliss shot and killed James Hall, who rushed him while being escorted back to Port Arthur following a foiled escape attempt. Another escapee was killed when a musket discharged accidentally as a soldier was apparently fitting him with leg irons. An event of this nature would necessitate an inquisition, but nothing much ever came from them. These bored young soldiers were often in trouble and would have far more in common with the convicts than their officers. Sergeant Killian would be in strife for dealing in sly grog and serving strong spirits under the counter at the wet canteen. The military area was also the site of the main semaphore mast, a structure over 23 metres high with coloured paddles and a variety of flags enabling visual signals and coded messages to be sent over long distances very quickly. Semaphore was a very efficient means of communication, weather permitting. Among the wooden buildings and houses covering the rest of the hill was a schoolhouse for the children of the military and administrators who ran the prison. One teacher, John Goodman, often had difficulty in his job because the children would not take any notice of him. Class discipline would perhaps understandably suffer as a consequence of their teacher's status. Goodman was a convict. The houses of Settlement Hill were very basic, built of weatherboards and lime-washed. Deputy Commissariat Officer Thomas Lombiere continually complained that his house did not have a single window or door that was wind or watertight. The whole being built of green wood, every door and window has shrunk.
Wonder if we can get a ride. Yeah.
Come all ye gallant poachers who ramble void of care, who wander out on moonlit nights with your dog and gun and snare. Oh, the hare and lofty pheasant you will have at your command, not thinking on your last career spent on Van Diemen's land. Young Thomas Brown from Nina Town, Jack Murphy and poor Joe were three determined poachers their country well did know. By the keeper of the game one night, brave boys they were trepanned and straight away transported unto Van Diemen's land. And the first day that we landed there upon that fatal shore, the planters gathered around us, there might be 20 score, and they ranked us off like horses and sold us out of hand, and they yoked us to the plough, brave boys, for to plough Van Diemen's land. Now the cottages that we live in are made of sods of earth. We have rotten straw for bedding, but we dare not say a word, and we ring our huts with fire ring and slumber while we can, for to keep at bay those beasts of prey that prowl Van Diemen's land. God bless our wives and families, likewise that happy shore.
that isle of sweet contentment which we shall see no more. As for those wretched females, see them we seldom can. There are 14 men to every woman on Van Diemen's Land. And of times when I'm slumbering, I'll have a pleasant dream. I am sitting by the cool green grass down by a burning stream, or I am rambling through the meadow fair, my sweetheart by the hand.
Thank you very much, mate. That was really a big saving.
For 14 years is a long, long time, and that's our sentence to run. For nothing more than poaching is all I've ever done. And you give up both your dog and gun and poaching every man. If you'd only known the hardships that done Van Diemen's Land. By chance I had £500 laid out in my hand. I'd give it all up for poaching if that I could command. And then I'd return to Erin's Isle and be a happy man. And I'd bid farewell to poaching, likewise on Diemen's Land. Come all ye gallant poachers who ramble void of care, who wander out on moonlit nights with your dog and gun and snare. Oh, the hare and lofty pheasant you will have at your command, not thinking on your last career spent on Van Diemen's Land.
Well, good morning everybody and welcome aboard the Marana. We'll soon be heading off on the harbour cruise. If I could just have your attention for a moment first, please. Absolutely glorious autumn day out there today. You're all welcome to move around the vessel, enjoy the outer decks if you choose to.
And their cries, a land of sorrow beneath the skies. Isle of the dead, where the secrets lay, bones in the earth, stories decay. Ghosts in the mist, they'll never fade. Isle of the dead, where silence sways. Footsteps loud, stone by stone beneath the shroud. The settlement built on broken dreams, rivers of tears fed silent streams. Did they see the dawn? Did they feel the flame? Or just the weight of an unspoken name? Isle of the dead, where the secrets lay, bones in the earth, stories decay. Ghosts in the mist, they'll never fade. Isle of the dead, where silence sways. Did they feel the flame, or just the weight of an unspoken name? Isle of the dead, where the secrets lay, bones in the earth, stories decay. Ghosts in the mist, they'll never fade. Isle of the dead, where silence sways. Tasmania weeps, her scars remain. Echoes of boys who bore the chain. Is justice a word or a fleeting breeze? Lost to the ocean, lost to the sea. Tasmania weeps, her scars remain. Echoes of boys who bore the chain. Is justice a word or a fleeting breeze? Lost to the ocean, lost to the seas.
But they used to keep them cool by putting them in wooden troughs and putting kelp over the top of them, but they would have to use these fairly quickly. Also on any given day, there would be traffic to and from around the harbour. Commandant might be travelling over the point floor on his duty, the doctor might be travelling over the point floor, another part of the settlement. You might see two longboats, one with a crew rowing, the other behind it being towed, and there would be a coffin in that. There was a burial party on its way to Isle of the Dead. Now we'll have you back on shore shortly, folks. And on behalf of crew and captain, I wish you an interesting and pleasant day. Thank you.
They said the boys where shadows creep, point kill whispers in their sleep. Chains on the winds halting their cries, a land of sorrow beneath the skies. I love the dead where the secrets lay, bones in the earth, the stories decay, ghosts in the mist, they'll never fade. I love the dead where silence sway. The footsteps loud, stone by stone beneath the shroud. The settlement built on broken dreams, rivers of tears fed silent streams. Did they see the dawn? Did they feel the flame? Or just the weight of an unspoken name? I love the dead where the secrets lay, bones in the earth, the stories decay, ghosts in the mist, they'll never fade. I love the dead where silence sway. Tasmania weeps, her scars remain, echoes of boys who bore the chain. Is justice a word or a fleeting breeze, lost to the ocean or lost to the seas? I love the dead where the secrets lay, bones in the earth, the stories decay, ghosts in the mist, they'll never fade. I love the dead where silence sway. Cold, the footsteps loud, stone by stone beneath the shroud.
What does it say? Dockyard.
Hammers echoed on the bay, wood metal water every day. Salt and sweat soaked the ground, dreams were lost where none were found. Timbers and chains, the price we pay, building ships that sail away. Blood on the deck, tears in the grave. Timbers and chains, timbers and chains. The lash they cracked, the night stood still, freedom chained to iron will. The sea would call, but not for me, only ships could taste that breeze. Every plank the story told of hands that worked, of hearts that broke. Timbers and chains, the price we pay, building ships that sail away. Blood on the deck, tears in the grave. Timbers and chains, timbers and chains, legs and chains. The lash had cracked, the night stood still, freedom chained to iron will. The sea would call, but not for me, only ships could taste that breeze. Every plank a story told, of hands that worked, of hearts that broke. Timbers and chains, the price we pay, building ships that sail away. Blood on the deck, tears in the grave. Timbers and chains, timbers and chains. What do they see? The ships we made, proud of craft, the scars of slaves. Does the wind carry our cries, or drown them deep where the ocean lies?
the ships we made, pride of craft or scars of slaves? Does the wind carry our cries, or drown them deep where the ocean lies? Timbers and chains, the price we pay, building ships that sail away. Blood on the deck, tears in the grave. Timbers and chains, timbers and chains. Hammers echoed on the bay, wood and water every day. Salt and sweat soaked the ground, dreams were lost when none were found. Timbers and chains, the price we paid, building ships that sailed away. Blood on the deck, tears in the grave. Timbers and chains, timbers and chains. The lash had cracked, the night stood still. Freedom chained to iron will. The sea would call, but not for me. Only ships could taste the breeze. Every plank, the story told, of hands that worked, of hearts that broke. Timbers and chains, the price we paid, building ships that sailed away. Blood on the deck, tears in the grave. Timbers and chains, timbers and chains. Timbers and chains. The lash had cracked, the night stood still. Freedom chained to iron will. The sea would call, but not for me. All those shimbers and chase that breeze. Every plank, a story told, of hands that worked, of hearts that broke. Timbers and chains, the price we paid, building ships that sailed away. Blood on the deck, tears in the grave. Timbers and chains, timbers and chains. Timbers and chains, the last that cracked, the night stood still. Freedom chained to iron will. The sea would call, but not for me. Only shimbers and chains that breeze. Ever they see the ships we made, pride of craft or scars of slaves. Does the wind carry our cries, or drown them deep where the ocean lies? The earth that swallowed every name, punishment masked as a labor gain. No stars, no sun, no blue above, just the iron hand, no trace of love. Keep the bastards busy underground. No mercy, no pardon found. Swing the pick till the sky turns black. No road forward, no turning back.
In a quiet town where the waves do sigh, lies Port Arthur beneath the Tasmanian sky. A place of history, of stories in stone. But one dark day, its peace was overthrown. The shadows grew long. the sun hid away. A tranquil place turned to dismay. We remember the sorrow, the lives that were torn. In the echoes of Port Arthur, our hearts still mourn. Echoes of Port Arthur cry in the night. We hold on to memories, we cling to the light. Though the world keeps turning, the pain won't erase. In the echoes of Port Arthur, we find strength and grace. Once a place where laughter filled the air, now a silent whisper of despair. We gather in remembrance, in the shadow of the past, to honor the lost, their legacy will last. The shadows grew long, the sun hid away. A tranquil place turned to dismay. We remember the sorrow, the lives that were torn. In the echoes of Port Arthur, our hearts still mourn. Echoes of Port Arthur cry in the night. We hold on to memories, we cling to the light. Though the world keeps turning, the pain won't erase. In the echoes of Port Arthur, we find strength and grace. From the darkness we rise, with a vow to protect, to cherish each moment, to never forget. In the spirit of those who were taken too soon, we find hope in the dawn beneath the same moon. Echoes of Port Arthur cry in the night. We hold on to memories, we cling to the light. Though the world keeps turning, the pain won't erase. In the echoes of Port Arthur, we find strength and grace. From the darkness we rise, with a vow to reside. We carry the stories with tears in our eyes. In the echoes of Port Arthur, we find our way through the darkness of night into a new day. Once a place where laughter filled the air, now a silent whisper of despair. We gather in remembrance, in the shadow of the past, to honor the lost, their legacy will last.
My father is an angel, and I his only son. My mother sits in wonderment of what never had to come. One moment pain and anger, the other lone despair. By name and nature winter waits for spring to bring repair. They said it was the worst of all, the day the devil came. With all the force of hell itself, the innocent proclaimed. While people ran for cover, my mother covered me. And through the sound of thunder, I heard my father's plea. Angel of mercy, help ease the pain, for I'm a living legacy of the day the devil came. How quaint this little cafe on a Sunday afternoon. Not even in your wildest dreams would you imagine what might loom. So many broken-hearted who will suffer for so long. Their scars run deeper than the sea, yet as present as the sun. Angel of mercy, help ease the pain, for I'm a living legacy of the day the devil came. as I wander through my life without his guiding hand. Just other people's memories of a very special man. I know at times the glass will rise in honor and with pride to toast an unsung hero who for his family gave his life. Angel of mercy, help ease the pain, for I'm a living legacy of the day the devil came. Angel of mercy, help ease the pain, for I'm a living legacy of the day the devil came. I'm a living legacy of the day the devil came.
You can see how they did the flashing too. So you've got the big rooms in the sandstone work where you have sheets of lead. And really when we talk about fires, because they had splits in the shingle roof, that was Port Arthur's Achilles heel. So 99% of the buildings here had splits in the shingle roof. So the doctor's house was badly damaged by fire. Oh, it's nice and all that badly damaged. It was a massive two-storey building. It was still 2 stories, but it was a lot bigger. The only building that didn't have it was the guard towers. They had lead because they were circular. So any embers would have just fizzled on the lead. A big branch wouldn't have done good, but would have had to blow a big branch there. And the one building, or the 2 buildings, one round in the boat building yard, but the other building that wasn't really touched was the Commandant's house. Yeah. And the reason for that, it was the last pub standing. I can say it because what Aussies do when your pub's threatened, they rush to save the pub. So the Government house was a hotel, burnt. The law courts accommodation, probably Slide Rob near the penitentiary, burnt. The last one standing was the Commandant's house. And that's why we're happy enough to claim 89% originality. So if you go to the Commandant's house, beautiful timber architraves, certain boards, mantelpieces, the works. But that changed over time. 3 or 4 bedroom cottage in the 1830s, hotel in the 1880s, and a boarding house in the 1920s. So it's a Lego child's delight. When we add room, this building add room. But yes, got home to save. We're very lucky. The office accommodation is Rose Cottage next door to the cottage, the band, and pulling down and just working. The British government didn't want 1847 shut down. The same guys and researchers believe Port Arthur was basically an old place. So in 1860s, the old cottage like that. They're bad, really bad back.
Come and ring the bell for me.
The Convict Church is without doubt the most beautiful building in Port Arthur and one of the truly iconic buildings in this country. Lieutenant Governor Arthur would personally lay the foundation stone. Built by convicts, it would have a capacity for a congregation of around 1,200. Both convicts and free persons would attend but would enter the church through different doors and be separated by curtains. Moral reformation at Port Arthur was essentially about instilling the fear of God, the threat of divine retribution, and the possibility of redemption and a place in paradise. Lieutenant Governor Arthur believed that no criminal could actually be cured unless he had embraced the Word of God. Sadly, in 1884, embers from a garden burn-off landed on the shingled roof, which caught fire very quickly, and within half an hour the whole church was ablaze, leaving the ruin we see today.
My father is an angel, and I his only son. My mother sits in wonderment of what never had become. One moment pain and anger, the other lone despair. By name and nature winter waits for spring to bring.
The small wooden church is St David's, which was built May of 1927 in response to a growing community having nowhere to worship.
Said it was the worst of all, the day the devil came, with all the force of hell itself, the innocent were claimed. While people ran for cover, my mother covered me, and through the sound of thunder I heard my father's plea. Angel of mercy, help ease the pain, for I'm a living legacy of the day the devil came. How quaint this little cafe on a Sunday afternoon. Not even in your wildest dreams could you imagine what might loom. So many broken-hearted who will suffer for so long. The scars run deeper than the sea, yet as present as the sun. Angel of mercy, help ease the pain, for I'm a living legacy of the day the devil came. The day the devil came. And as I wander through my life without his guiding hand, just other people's memories of a very special man. I know at times the glass will rise in honor and with pride to toast an unsung hero who for his family gave his life. Angel of mercy, help ease the pain, for I'm a living legacy of the day the devil came.
I'll show you. Basically, you go right up the hill, and it's a lookout over the whole site. It's very pretty. It's steep though. Let's go have a look at the post office.
I'm a living legacy of the day the devil came.
Hudson Soap.
The attractive houses located towards the western side of the site are called Civil Officers Row. This is where the professionals live with their families. They prefer to call it Quality Row. At the southern end of the row is the Visiting Magistrate's House, which for a time was occupied by Commandant William Champ. Champ was regarded as being less severe than his predecessor, Commandant Booth, and later went on to become Tasmania's first Premier. This house was also occupied on occasion by the senior surgeon, and in the early 1900s it was a hotel described as unsurpassed by any other in Tasmania for comfort and convenience. The small cottage next door is the Roman Catholic chaplain's house, built in 1844 to house the first Catholic chaplain, Father William Bond. His appointment was an intelligent response to an influx of Irish following the famines and a dispute over the inflammatory content of a sermon by the anti-Catholic Church of Ireland Protestant Reverend Durham. Next in the row is what we call the Junior Medical Officer's House. Originally built for Thomas Lempierre, this museum house is a must-see for anyone visiting the site with its lovely furniture, beautiful blackwood archways and doors, all carved by skilled convicts. The house would later be used to accommodate the doctors and their families. At the rear of the house and separate are the kitchen and servants' quarters. Upstairs is the nanny's room and children's bedrooms. Situated on the corner is the accountant's house. By the late 1880s, the house would be used as a school and presently is our education centre. And finally, the parsonage, probably better known these days for its reputation as one of the more haunted buildings in the country than as the home of the Reverend, the man responsible for moral reformation. The Reverend George Eastman was the most famous and probably most universally respected of the Reverends. He was known to the convicts as the Good Parson. The parsonage was originally a double-storey building. The top floor was sadly lost to fire. Families at Port Arthur were large. The Lempierres and Brownells both had 13 children, the Eastmans 10. By 1842, there were around 120 children being raised and educated within this prison, and the wives were virtual prisoners in their own homes. They couldn't enjoy the freedom of simply walking out the door on a fine day, as they were living in the middle of a prison among the worst convicts in Van Diemen's Land. You will find Government Cottage, essentially built to accommodate visiting VIPs to Port Arthur. Located at the top of lovely gardens, it would at least feel separated from the convict areas. The beautiful government gardens were created as a place where families could enjoy a pleasant environment and feel a semblance of safety and normality. But the reality of where they were must have been very difficult to escape. Despite this, picnics, soirees and dinners would be held regularly. Birthdays and special occasions would be celebrated. Their days would be consumed in needlework and tapestry, pressing flowers and collecting seaweed samples. Mrs. Champ sent a collection to the Universal Exhibition in Paris in 1855, and an album of Charlotte Lempierre's seaweed collections can be viewed in our museum.
Probably majority of my group up at the JMOs for the 145 will be rushing over to you for the 2 o'clock. I know you will. Thank you. Take them out. Alrighty. Feel free to come up on the veranda out of the sun if you like, guys. All of this beautiful dark timber that you see around the archways, the fireplaces, the skirting boards, that is all Tasmanian blackwood, guys. Look at how it all matches in the fireplace as well. Eucalyptus glue guns for the floorboards and the roofing beams, and then they use stringy bark or peppermint for shingles. So this house has actually just been re-shingled. Unfortunately, it's been half re-shingled with green timber, which means it's going to have to be replaced far quicker than dry timber would because it's all warped. Now the wallpaper in the dining room and the main bedroom actually came from a rubbing in the drawing room cupboard. So we don't know exactly when it was put on, but we know it was put on at some stage, so they had it reprinted and replicated. Typically your kitchen would be up the back. Normally we've got this door wide open. We're just waiting for a new glass door to be put on before we can have it open to protect the inside of the house there. A covered walkway leads up to the kitchen, service quarters and outbuildings. But because this place operated as a hotel during the 1900s and a lot of changes and additions and renovations went on, boys have one room, girls have another, and typically they'd share the beds. If the older daughters who would take up the spare room had to give up their room for accommodation when any visitors came along, they'd bunk in there up with the girls as well. That would be the commodes or the chamber pots. And there's washstands and bowls, big basins that they would have what we like to call a hall spa. We've got an attic upstairs, so just behind you there you'll see a little doorway into the spiral staircase leads them up. It was a door. Sorry, I used to do this when we actually could get access. So the chairs, probably have two people doing it. So girls wouldn't do it like I am doing it as well. But they would pick it up by these legs here. Three bedrooms. These are a little bit small, but the design is that it will hang. I need the one that's actually made for These are not original to the house. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they probably shouldn't have done that because it's a government house.
Aren't these pretty? Yeah, really. Can you go next door? What is it? Or is that just the beginning of a new bulb? It's a fruit. Okay. Interesting. Can you go around to the next house or not really? I think we'll have to go. What's the story, Tone?
So this elk,
Yep.
he went rogue. He ended up here on the settlement.
Yep.
And ended up scaring all the people that lived here and ate all their crops. So he only lasted a few months. Took him to Hobart.
They dismissed him. We're going through the archway to the asylum. Oh, look. It is pretty.
That'd be nice for a wedding.
Yeah.
Replanted in 2018.
Right. Why don't we walk down?
We're in 2018.
Yeah. No, we're going up to the asylum. Don't think so. All right, stay there. That old joke, how do you drive someone crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Put them in a circular room and tell them to sit in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's why they've made the asylum this size.
Nobby the horse.
Nobby the horse. Oh, he brought water up. I think the entranceway's there. Even the old gutter.
Next to the separate prison is a fine-looking building with an impressive clock tower. This is home to our present-day museum. It was the lunatic asylum and would be the last major construction to be undertaken at Port Arthur, built in 1868. Housed within were men suffering from a variety of mental illness. A severe case was John Quigley, another ex-soldier whose behaviour had always been observed as erratic, often bizarre, to the extent where some believed he was actually pretending, but especially so following a fight with another convict on Norfolk Island where he suffered a fractured skull and very probable brain damage. Quigley was considered too dangerous and disruptive for the asylum, so like a number of others, he would be kept in the purpose-built C wing of the separate prison. Eventually a cage would be built for him outside of the walls at the western end, where he seemed to be quite content, although apparently on occasion he could be observed running around his cage on all fours, roaring like a lion. Over time, it would become inevitable that a small number of those transported who had not managed to find a life within the colonies, those infirm, incapable and growing older, would need at least a semblance of support. The grey walled building to the south of the site was the separate prison. To me, the separate prison represents one of the more terrifying aspects of the penal system and the consequences of an overly ambitious and very flawed premise. A convict in total isolation under conditions of strict silence would have the opportunity to contemplate past misdeeds and to meditate upon them. The belief was that reformation would be generated from within and would therefore be more permanent. If a convict continued to cause trouble or disturbance while in the separate prison, there was the added threat of the dumb cells. These cells, with their thick stone walls and 4 doors, were not only soundproof but lightproof, and the maximum sentence could be 30 days. You can still find a dumb cell in the separate prison. Try it out, I dare you. Convicts under separate treatment were required to wear a mask whenever they were outside of their cells to maintain their anonymity. And they were only outside of their cells when on their way to exercise for 1 hour each day in a walled yard watched by armed guards, or when in chapel, where to prevent communication or pollution, each convict was locked into separate compartments. The separate prison robbed a convict of his identity, his name replaced by a number, his very face covered by a mask. But today it's quite different, with visitors finding an exceptional display of photographic portraits of some of these men, including the likes of ex-soldier, deserter and definite hard case Dennis Doherty. Following years as a convict both on Norfolk Island and Port Arthur, where he endured dreadful punishment, Doherty would continue to remain defiant and as a consequence spent years in the separate prison, including sentences in the dumb cell. After 42 years as a convict, he would eventually confess, "I am broken at last." I wonder, was he really, or just feigning? Aged 16, when sent to Port Arthur for an attempted unnatural act, Leonard Hand was considered by Dr. Coverdale to be mentally childish and silly as a result of his time spent in the separate prison, 3 years at his own request. There were numerous punishments which could be inflicted on convicts. During the early years at Port Arthur, flogging was quite prominent, generally the number of lashes inflicted being 24, 36, 50, 75, with a maximum of 100, delivered with a dreaded cat o' nine tails.
No. Yeah, so that bed rolls up and they put it in the corner.
I think they just don't have enough beds.
So Tony just was trying to... What do you do with that, Tony?
That says, I need help.
Ah.
I fixed it.
Yeah, and Tony actually turned it, and you can see over here on number 8 how it's strategically linked to a bell system. And the bell system runs all the way along the roof line. So she fixed it. Well done, Tone. What's that one doing? Any others? So what is this, Tone?
I think it's the Catholic chapel. Well,
Okay.
what he was saying was this is fully self-contained, so they never leave.
Right.
So every room is separate, so they are confined. Each one is confined. And then what? The tippy toe?
I don't know.
They're only 5 foot something. So they're really just. Wrecked my video.
So what's in there, Tone? What's in there? Don't know. Did you video this?
Down there where it was hard, blood, gold. Yeah. Physical abuse. This is continuous. But if you're in your cell and you're someone working away, they'll come in with the group up with the books. You get fed.
There were numerous punishments which could be inflicted on convicts. During the early years of Port Arthur, flogging was quite prominent, generally the number of lashes inflicted being 24, 36, 50, 75, with a maximum of 100 delivered with a dreaded cat-o'-nine-tails. Those in Britain calling for the end of this violent punishment would argue that by flogging a person we are simply inflicting pain upon the external. The inner person becomes embittered by this, which was quite true. Also among convicts, there was the expectation that they should meet their punishment, meaning convicts would stand up to it, take it bravely and stoically, and defy the pain. One man who endured his punishment in silence would later say, "I held my pain within, I swallowed my pain." This is an example of the sheer pride and bloody-mindedness of one individual while enduring the lash. Some men would accumulate hundreds of lashes with apparent little or no effect. They may not have been impervious, but would very determinedly offer the impression that they were. A convict by the name of William Derincourt was reputed to have sung a song during his 50 lashes. Serial escapade Thomas Davis, following 100 lashes, would spend a month recovering in hospital, but even that did not stop him in his relentless pursuit of freedom. And at a time when the possibilities of reform were being considered, it was well known that flogging did not achieve that aim. Many, including Commandant Booth, believed that solitary confinement was a far more effective punishment. Flogging at Port Arthur was gradually phased out during the mid to late 1840s. However, what replaced it would be something far more insidious and potentially far more damaging.
What are those, Tony? The little pipes or something?
Yeah.
Tobacco
Yeah.
pipes. All the documentation.
is what they used to make, the prisoners.
The canes.
One on a wall.
Wow. What is that?
Looks like a whale. The plumbers laid lead pipes everywhere. Little did they know lead is
Yep, probably caused half the problems.
underground lead pipes. An alarm rattle. Look at that pigeon.
I saw this one. This is the signal thing up on the hill. What is it, honey?
These sandstone things used to sit on top of the hospital.
Oh, okay.
That bread was a bit old.
Yes.
Lunch.
Well, the outfits are interesting.
Not a green thing inside.
I wonder why they had to have hats.
The commanding building you can see at the top of the hill is the hospital. The sandstone building was preceded by two earlier buildings of timber construction. The Port Arthur Hospital was neither better nor worse than most of the hospitals one may be unfortunate to find themselves in at this time. Hospitals were dreaded and commonly referred to as dying places. Richard Baker was 97 years old when he finally passed away here in 1861. He had been transported for robbing his lodging in 1822, before Port Arthur had even been thought of. A common cause of death recorded for these old gentlemen was visitation from God, another was expiry of life. The small yellow cottage nearby was home for a period of months to political prisoner and leader of the Young Ireland movement, William Smith O'Brien. Originally sentenced to death for high treason, he would instead be transported to Van Diemen's Land, finally ending up at Port Arthur. A practical means of disposing of political agitators was to transport them to the remotest outpost of the British Empire, which many referred to as Damn Demons Land.
Stone walls whisper tales of old, where chains clang loud and hearts grew cold. Echoes linger heavy bold in Port Arthur's shadowed hold. Brick by brick, the past remains, carved in sorrow, carved in pain. From convict cries to history's claim, Port Arthur speaks, it knows your name.
Under a beautiful tree. Is this the waterway? No, it's not.
Broken old men in their 60s, 70s, 80s, the remains of their mess hall can be found just across the creek from the asylum, and by the mid-1860s, these poor souls, the declared invalids, paupers and lunatics, would outnumber actual convicts. These men were the declared invalids and paupers.
German kitchen with baths, laundry, etc.
Why were they placed here?
Author Marcus Clark in 1870 described the inmates as poor scarecrows in cast-off clothing and told of weaker entertainment.
Stone walls whisper tales of old, where chains clang loud and hearts grew cold. Echoes linger heavy bold shadowed hold. Brick by brick, the past remains, carved in sorrow, carved in pain. From convict cries to history's claim, Port Arthur speaks, it knows your name. Tides rolled in, brought dreams to drown. Punishment wore a brutal crown, but seeds of hope broke through the ground. Heritage now, the site renowned. Ghosts don't fade, they softly hum. Their story's voice won't come undone. Brick by brick, the past remains, carved in sorrow, carved in pain. From convict cries to history's claim, Port Arthur speaks, it knows your name.
Looks like a beehive in there.
Toasts don't fade, they softly hum. Their story's voice won't come undone. Brick by brick, the past remains, carved in sorrow, carved in pain. From convict cries to history's claim, Port Arthur speaks, it knows your name. Secrets, they hold scars underneath the southern stars. A place of loss, a place of gain, where time has healed yet left its stain. Secrets, they hold scars underneath the southern stars. A place of loss, a place of gain, where time has healed yet left its stain. The walls hold secrets, they hold scars, underneath the southern stars. A place of loss, a place of gain, where time is healed, yet left its stain. Stone walls whisper tales of old, where chains clang loud and hearts grew cold. Echoes linger, heavy bold, in Port Arthur's shadowed hold. Brick by brick, the past remains, carved in sorrow, carved in pain. From convict cries to history's claim, Port Arthur speaks, it knows your name. Tides roll in, brought dreams to drown. Punishment or a brutal crown, the seeds of hope broke through the ground. Heritage now, the site renowned. Toasts don't fade, they softly hum. Their story's voice won't come undone. Brick by brick, the past remains, carved in sorrow, carved in pain. From convict cries to history's claim, Port Arthur speaks, it knows
it knows your name. Tides rolled in, brought dreams to drown, punishment or a brutal crown. But seeds of hope broke through the ground, heritage now, the sight renowned. Ghosts don't fade, they softly hum, their story's voice won't come undone. Brick by brick, the past remains, carved in sorrow, carved in pain. From convict cries to history's claim, Port Arthur speaks, it knows your name. The walls hold secrets, they hold scars, underneath the southern stars. A place of loss, a place of gain, where time has healed, yet left its stain.